Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andy Cope, or Dr. Andy Cope from the UK. Here I am at home doing a short video for you. So I'm really excited. So what I want to do is, and the t-shirt gives you a clue. So what I am in the UK is actually a doctor of happiness, or a doctor of well-being. So I'm like the exact opposite of all the other doctors you've ever met, who are trying to find out what's wrong with you and put you right. Whereas I've spent 15 years looking at people who are already happy. So I'll come back to that as a theme in a second. I just want to share just a few pictures, PowerPoints with you, and to share some things that I think will be useful to you. First of all, this is Certificate U, which means it's about you, okay? So there's no unicorns, and it's totally about how you can feel great in a world that is, there's not much happiness out there at the moment, at least not here. Is that the pandemic has been around for about 8 or 9 months. I don't know when you're going to listen to this video. It might be in lockdown. It might not be affecting you. You might listen to this video in years to come. I don't know. But currently, at time of recording in the UK, we're in lockdown, and there's a lot of people struggling with their mental health. All right, so which is why I've decided to call this session Mental Wealth. All right, and I'll come back to that in a second. That's how excited I am. Well, that's how excited I was to get the invite. So I've heard so many great things about Kazakhstan, and I know that the wealth of the big cities is beginning to spread out across the country. And you might even be watching this in somewhere else in Central Asia. So wherever you are, hello, I salute you, okay? Well, hopefully one day I'll see you. Now, this is my PhD, right? My thesis on human flourishing and well-being took me 12 years, ladies and gentlemen. 12 years. I feel like Luke Skywalker, yeah? So when I started, I was young and I was vibrant, and then I finished and I'm old and grey. And it's ironic that a PhD in happiness actually made me unhappy. But there we go, okay? Now, and here we are in this so-called new normal. So like I say, currently in the pandemic, this is a real background. These are real books behind me, by the way, not one of those fake backgrounds. But that's how we end up living our life. I don't know how things are in Central Europe, but I don't know. I guess you might have been working from home. You might be working using technology a bit more. You might be working. I don't know. But that's my life at the moment, is trying to get myself organised, but the rest of the room not so organised. Now the thing is, the world is a little bit like that at the moment. So if you've worked in education for maybe more than 5 years, you will identify that that path is feeling narrower and narrower. So what happens in the modern world, certainly in the UK, is we're asking teachers, can you work a bit harder than you worked last year? Yeah. And here's not quite enough pay to do your job properly. And can we occasionally give you a new syllabus, or a new way of working, or a new restructure, or a new government, or something to contend with? And we've got children with special needs, and we've got parents with special needs, and it becomes increasingly difficult. So even back in the day, even before the pandemic, mental health, people were struggling with their mental health. And in the teaching profession, a lot of the teachers that I know are exhausted. It's increasingly difficult to get people to stay in teaching because of the demands that are placed on teachers. All right, so most people are working 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours a week. I get that, I understand that. I've married a teacher, and I love teachers so much that I've married one. But I identify with that is that there's a lot of people struggling with the workload at the moment. Now, the reason is because my wife is exhausted, right? And she cares so much about the children. So she's exhausted all the time. And I don't want you to stop caring, right? I don't want you to stop caring. But what I want you to do is care with a passion, but stay so we can navigate the world as it is, all right? Not navigating the world as we want it to be, because if we're waiting for the perfect world, we will probably die waiting. So what can we learn from the science of happiness and human flourishing that we can apply in our own life? And I'm placing the importance on it on that diagram there, that of course exam results are important. Of course I want children to do really well academically at school. But if they can leave school with an academic background and with a positive attitude and some resilience and some character strengths, then they will become amazing citizens and amazing human beings. And I think in education, that's what we're trying to achieve, surely. There's no point producing really clever young people who've got no confidence in character and resilience. Because the world, when it's doing its worst, which it currently is, it's even more important that we learn how to be at our best. And that's where this simple video comes from. So I've got a couple of top tips for you coming up. But before we do that, I think it's maybe we need to start with this. So I don't know what you know. I know English probably isn't your first language, so I'm trying to talk a bit slower than I would normally talk. And I'm hoping that if I can do a good enough job, I might actually see you in Kazakhstan in person next year. Who knows what the world will bring. But I like that picture there, because that picture, if I do, so I do lots of work in schools in the UK, lots of school work with teachers and with parents and with children. And if I do a school assembly in a primary school, I quite often will come on stage and I'll say, okay, children, before we start, I've got a statistic, I've got a fact for you. I say the average lifespan in this hall is 4,000 weeks. We're going to live for 4,000 weeks. And the little children are like, oh my gosh, that is amazing. That is forever. 4,000 weeks. Thank you for sharing it, Dr. Andy. That's brilliant. But if I announce it on a video in Kazakhstan and Central Asia to you guys, there is less punching of the air. There's less woohoo, and there's a bit more 4,000 weeks. That doesn't sound very many. I've used a few of those. And I'm coming at it, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart here, from your 4,000 weeks perspective. All right, so the question is, how can we shine? And how can we have a passion and radiance and brilliance when the world is making it really difficult to shine? All right, so the 4,000 weeks. So what I want to give you is just a few ideas on how to be brilliant at work and at home. Now, here's the question that launched my research. It's a really, really big and important question. Could you be happier even if nothing in the world around you changed? Now, that's not a trick question, but I want you to consider it. Could you be happier even if nothing in the world around you changed? Because my answer to me, about 15 years ago, my answer in my head was yes, which was a very strange admission to myself that I had the potential to be happier. I could be happier. The world didn't need to change. In fact, the world wasn't going to change to accommodate me. The world was going to continue to do what the world does. But within that, I had the potential to be happier. But for some reason, I wasn't being. So what I realized really is the biggest thing stopping me being happy was actually me, which was a bit of a moment for me when I realized maybe it was me getting in my own way. But I thought maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just a strange human being. So I was delivering a talk at a conference the next day. So I asked about 400 people at the conference because I was intrigued, that question. So I asked 400 people, could you be happier even if nothing in the world around you changed? And of those 400 people scratching their head, about 390 hands went up and people were, yes, I think actually we could be. And therefore, it's not just me. What I realize it's part of the human condition is we've all got the potential to be happier. And the biggest single thing stopping us being happy may possibly be ourselves. All right. And therefore, that sent me on a bit of a journey, a PhD journey in the UK to find the secrets of happiness and the secrets of human flourishing. Okay. And that is essentially what I've been doing. I do that now in the UK in schools and businesses and the health service, and I deliver talks to whoever will listen to me. Now here's something a little bit counterintuitive. Okay. So in order to feel happier, you have to change a few beliefs. And a belief is something you have in your head. It's a way of thinking that you think is true. It isn't true, but you believe it to be so. All right. So let me tell you a story. Just a very quick story, a true story that I think will begin to see the point, all right? And the question is, how do you catch a baby monkey? Which is a strange question, okay? So if you need a monkey for your zoo, what they will do is the people will go to Africa where the monkeys live in the jungle, and they will take a cage and a banana. And what the monkey catcher will do is go into the jungle, they will dig a hole in the forest floor and they'll fit the cage into the hole and put a piece of fruit into the cage. Okay, and then they'll cover it over with some leaves, and then whoever set the trap will go and hide behind the tree and wait and wait and wait until eventually the monkeys come through the forest. And the monkey at the back, the little baby monkey, will look down, it will see the banana in the cage, and the monkey thinks, I love bananas, right? So the monkey puts its hand in the cage and grabs the banana. But when the monkey makes a fist like that, it can't then get the banana out of the cage, okay? So the monkey's now confused. It's got the banana there and it wants it here. So it's like, I'm trying to work out how to get the banana out of the cage. Now, here's the thing. as soon as the monkey has hold of the banana, it's doomed, all right? So whoever set the trap doesn't have to come quietly creeping out from the, they can come out as loud as they like and say, aha, fantastic, baby monkey, got you, lifetime in zoo for you. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the monkey would rather keep hold of the banana rather than let go. Now, I know that's a slightly strange story, but for me, it takes me into mental habits, habits of thinking. How many bananas have we got in our head? How many thoughts do we continue to think that aren't doing us any favors? They're not doing us any good, and yet we continue to think them. And how many habits of behavior do we have that are not serving us well, and yet we continue to do those habits? And therefore, and it's something that's hardly ever touched on in personal development. What I'm saying is this: it's really easy to start new things. It's easy for me on this video to tell you lots of things that you can do that will enable you to feel better. But the difficulty always is to stop doing habits that you've already got, is to let go of your own mental bananas. Okay, so for example, I often hear, in a British school, in the staff room, I'll often hear, oh, teaching was better in the old days. Okay, that might be true. I don't know, but that might be true. My point is, ladies and gentlemen, the old days are gone. Okay, the old days are gone. And if we're hanging on to how good it used to be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years ago, then we're really going to struggle in the new days. Because the new days require us to be high energy, high performance. They require our own well-being to be sky high. They require confidence and personality and charisma in the classroom. What we did 10 years ago doesn't work anymore, okay? The children are different, they have different needs, and therefore we need to let go of that way of thinking. Another one, we've always done it this way. Well, that again potentially might be true, but we've always done it this way. The modern world means we've got to start to rethink how we do things. The pandemic has changed that. We've got to change our approach in the classroom and in the staff room. So what I'm asking you to do, ladies and gentlemen, is really think about the story that I'm telling, and think about the unwanted thoughts and the unwanted behaviors, the things you're continuing to do that are not serving you well, and maybe beginning to stop doing those. That's really, really important. Otherwise, I can give you lots of things to do, but you were just layering them and adding them to the bad habits. So you need to lose the bad habits first, and that is hard to do. Okay, so I'm hoping maybe we can talk about that if I get the opportunity to see you in real life. Here's one more thing that we need to let go of. Okay, that guy there on screen is the first ever psychologist. His name is Wilhelm Wundt, and he's from Leipzig in Germany. Around 1880, he was the first ever psychologist. So psychology has been around now for nearly 150 years. Okay. And for 150 years, psychology, traditional psychology, has been about phobias, disorders, anxiety, depression, schizophrenia. So as a psychology student, I learned all about the things that could go wrong with people, because then we can diagnose you, and here's some therapy or some counseling. And if that doesn't work, here's some medication that will allow you to function. Okay, so I understand that, and I think that's really super useful. However, in terms of letting go of a banana and rethinking it, what I'm really saying is this, is that for 150 years, traditional psychology has never ever studied people who are already happy, okay, because they're not ill. All right, so I understand, right? So traditional psychologists don't really like me. They will say, you're wasting your time. Why would you spend all that time studying happy people? Because it's pointless, because they don't even need any help. Ladies and gentlemen, that is exactly the point. Okay, all of us on this watching this video can think of just a handful of people in our life who've got something different about them. These handful of people are happier, they've got a smile on their face, they've got energy, they've got passion, they've got optimistic mindset, they've got hope, there's something different about those people. Just a handful of people. So who are those people? Secondly, what are they doing that allows them to flourish and feel so amazing? And thirdly, most importantly, in terms of my own research, is what could we then learn from those people that we can put into practice in our own lives so we could learn to flourish as well. So essentially, we would improve our chances of having more good days and fewer bad days. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the essence of what I've been doing for 15 years. It's called positive psychology. So seeking out those happy people and working out who they are, what they do, and what we can learn from them. And guess what? It applies in the classroom, it applies in the staff room, it applies in a parenting situation, it applies in the head's office. It is across the board because this is about the whole person. Okay. Now that's what I was going to share with you in person at the conference, and I can't do it justice in a 15-minute video, but I'll leave you with one thing. Let me give you one thing that you potentially can do in the classroom that I think will make the biggest difference. It's what I call the 4-minute rule. It is the simplest thing and probably the smallest thing that I've changed that has had the biggest impact on my life. Okay, so the 4-minute rule basically is this. Good news, right? You don't have to be on top form and super positive all day, right? You've only got to be your best self for 4 minutes. And if you can be genuinely upbeat and positive and confident for just 4 minutes, then what will happen is that will leak out of you and create positivity in other people. So the 4-minute rule is so simple. So the first 4 minutes of any situation become crucial. So that means at home, the first 4 minutes of breakfast time, when your children join you for breakfast, you being really positive will set the tone for your entire family for their day. The first 4 minutes of coming into work, into the staff room, with a genuine smile on your face and a passion to meet your colleagues. The first 4 minutes of your lesson, the first 4 minutes of a meeting after school, the first 4 minutes of getting home from school. What I'm saying is this, and I know it's obvious, but I'm saying if I can just remind you to be at your best just for the first 4 minutes, then what you'll find is you will feel great and the people around you will raise their game, you will make them feel great as well. And when they're feeling great, the learning starts to happen. Yeah, the things will happen differently in your classroom when everybody's engaged. But that engagement has to start with you 4 minutes at a time. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example from home. So I've had to learn this, right? So I've not always been very positive and very happy, particularly human being. And I used to get home exhausted. So 2 young children, I'm working all day, I'm getting home exhausted. And my children would run at me and go, Dad, where have you been? We've missed you. Dad, let me tell you about school. And I'd be like, oh no, let me tell you about the motorway. Oh, what a day I've had journeying, you know, the lorries and the spray on the motorway and the traffic jams. It's been a nightmare. And that, ladies and gentlemen, sadly, is how I would normally go home. And then it struck me the 4-minute rule. So the question in my head is this: how would the best dad in the world go through that door? Right, and that is a very powerful question because the answer is obvious. I already knew, but I wasn't doing it. So how would the best dad in the world go through the door? Well, the answer is like he really wanted to. These are the most important people in my entire life. They don't care about my journey home. They don't care about my day. Yeah, I've got a chance to influence the emotional tone of my family. All I've got to do is be my best self for 4 minutes. So I started to go home and I started to ask the children, how was today? How was school today? Was it good, fantastic, or brilliant? And that was a different question, yeah? Yeah, different question. And the kids were going, oh yeah, it's really good, Dad. It was brilliant today. And they started to tell me the highlight of their day, and the whole atmosphere in the family was high energy, high performance through me changing me. So could you be happier even if nothing in the world around you changed? We're back to where we started. I can't change the world. I can't change lockdown. I can't change COVID. I can't change the education system. I'm not in charge of the politics of my country. All I am in charge of is me. And if I can upgrade to best possible self, then it doesn't change the world, but it changes my world. And it puts me in a better place to deal with the world as it is. Okay, so the 4-minute rule, ladies and gentlemen, is the smallest change that I've done that's had the biggest impact on my life. So I'll leave you with this. We do a Brilliant Schools package now. It's a subscription package. It's online, and you can buy into it from wherever you are in the world. And the aim is that we give you a library of wellbeing resources for children and for teenagers and for staff and for parents, all around wellbeing and mental health. And you can show them in the class. And we also beam live wellbeing webinars into schools and staff rooms. So if you wanted to subscribe, just drop me an email. I've also got a whole range of books out there around mental health. Some are aimed at children, some are aimed at teenagers, but most are aimed at adults. The aim always is to take the thesis, so making an evidence-based approach, but to lose the big words, because we don't need any more big words, and we replace the big words with common sense and loads of fun. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you ever so much for listening. I salute the great work you are doing. Until next time, take care.